Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. We're inching closer to week 1 of the NFL season. And we're also in an election year. But don't worry, we're not talking politics on this show, but it is prediction season all across our great nation. And we're doing it with those two good-looking fellas. All right, we're on set here with Pete Prisco and Kyle Long, Jeremy St. Louis, Tommy Tran here with you, talking NFL futures, no different as our analyst picks the MVP, some other awards, and granted, it's very early in the season, before the season, Pete, but if I were to ask you MVP, who would you pick as of today?
You'll be surprised with this one.
I will not be.
I didn't go chalk like some people on the set did and have in the past. I went with a guy that I think has a real shot to win the MVP, and that's Josh Allen. And I think Buffalo's still a good football team across the board. In fact, you know, people look at their defense, they say, hey, what happened last year? They lost Daquan Jones, they lost Milano, and he's down again. They lost a corner, White, then they lost guys in the secondary, and the safeties both played banged up, and they still were able to get within a whisker beat the Chiefs. I think they're going to be better on defense this year. Von Miller will be back. He won't be quite Von Miller, but he's going to be significantly better than what he was a year ago. And Josh Allen will have an unreal year. People love to point at his turnovers. Yeah, he turns the ball over because he pressed. They have too much. They asked too much of him for most of his career. Once they started running the football, he became much better taking care of the ball. He's had more touchdowns over the last 4 seasons than anybody in the league, and I think that will carry over. I'm taking Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm not really too mad at that pick. It's a great pick. I think that Joe Brady and the pieces that they've filled that void of Stephon Diggs with in Buffalo are going to be the ones that determine the altitude of Josh Allen. And you said it best. His ability to run the football and throw the football will make him dangerous. But a guy who does that pretty darn well in the Midwest, in the AFC West, actually, is Patrick Mahomes. That's my pick for MVP. There's not a better football player on the planet. Brett Veach, Andy Reid have done a great job bringing guys in to solidify his place at the top of this MVP rankings. That's why I picked him, Pete. Okay, Super Bowl champion. He's going for a 3-peat this year. He's going to get his hardware in the MVP department as well.
Chalky McChalky right out of the gate over here. I love it. By the way, how can we pick against Patrick Mahomes? But I kind of tried to be a little different.
By getting the second betting favorite in Josh Allen.
Yeah, well,
okay.
A little
original, bro.
Okay,
just a little bit different.
Okay.
A little bit different.
A little bit different. A little bit different, yeah. Okay, in terms of Defensive Player of the Year, some of the individual awards, Myles Garrett was the guy who won it last year. It's been a few years since we've had a repeat guy, but Kyle, who do you like for Defensive Player of the Year?
You mentioned repeat guys. I mean, you got LT, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, and again, those are the best players on the face of the earth at their positions and on their side of the football. And for me, it's Myles Garrett. It's another repeat customer, and I think there will be no conversation at the end of the year. I know there was some conversation about another AFC North defender up there by the name of T.J. Watt, who took some of these things personally, but Myles Garrett does it better than anybody. And just like Josh Allen on the offensive side of the football, Myles Garrett able to play the run, able to play the pass at an elite level. You can see him here working inside moves. He can work outside rushes. You put a tight end over there, a running back in chip, he's going to demolish the entire game plan you have. There's nothing you can do about 95. It's like watching the sunrise in the morning. It's just going to happen, Pete. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year, repeat.
I don't have no problem with that. Again, though, I tried to get a little away from the Chalky McChalky, though I have the favorite. And I think Micah Parsons is actually the favorite to win the award, and he's my pick. I think the new defensive scheme with Mike Zimmer is going to make him that much better. I think he's going to be explosive. He's going to get after the quarterback. They're going to score points. Dallas will score points. They'll put a lot of pressure on teams to keep up. They'll have a lot of chances to rush the quarterback. It wouldn't surprise me to see him get near 20 this year, maybe even 220, and win the sack.
Direction this league is going, everybody's throwing it. You can always just pin your ears back and send your best rusher out there.
That's what he does.
Yes, sir.
Just the laundry list of Cowboys that want to get paid. So our producer's saying you're a bit chalky.
I said I had the favorite.
For this one, though. You're
Two Butte? Wow.
You both took a second favorite. Well,
and we both took we flipped.
Switched it around.
But that's why they're priced correctly.
Chalky McChalky,
right?
both of us.
No, that's perfectly fine. Let's see if there's a little bit of non-chalkiness to the Offensive Rookie of the Year conversation. Pete, I know who you like, but Kyle, I haven't asked you yet who you like in that department here. Marvin Harrison Jr. for this award.
Yeah, as somebody who's a legacy myself, I understand that this stuff doesn't just happen by osmosis or accident. You have to be raised around the game. You've got to kind of be inundated with the lifestyle of playing in the National Football League. Nobody was more of a pros pro than his father, and obviously to see him go to Arizona with a vacuum that's looking for somebody to step up and get all this volume volume from Kyler Murray, and obviously Kyler Murray looking to reintroduce himself to fans of the NFL. What better way than to get the ball in the hands of Marvin Harrison Jr. This guy really just understands how to play the position, the day in, day out rigors of playing in the NFL. I think he's a guy you can set your watch to this season. He's going to have an extremely, extremely exciting year offensively in Arizona.
Now, my dad didn't play in the NFL, but he played at Southside High School in New York way back in the day against Jim Brown, so he has that going for him.
What a legacy.
But I went with Jaden Daniels, and I think, and I've said this many a time over the course of the last 4 months, I think Jaden Daniels is the most improved player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes from the time he was at Arizona State to the time he went to the NFL. It's incredible, and I think he's going to get better and better. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to get the ball out. He goes through his progressions. He's the first one in, last one out. They always say that, but he did at LSU. That's what he lived by, and I think he's going to be a special quarterback. I'm going with Jaden Daniels.
He needs to spend more time in the cafeteria. Clearly, number 5 looks like he's due for about 3 cheeseburgers down there in the nation's capital. We got to keep him well fed if we want.
He's actually gained some weight, so I think he's getting bigger by the minute.
And he seems to be building a good rapport on that team as well. Dan Quinn seems to be really building a culture amongst that team, which Daniel
going to be special.
Certainly very much a part of. Last year, we saw Joe Flacco come off the couch and play 5 games for Cleveland, carry them into the playoffs, win Comeback Player of the Year. So in terms of the Comeback Player of the Year this year, Pete, Flacco, 39 years old. You're going with another guy who's getting up there in years.
I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I think Rodgers, he's healthy again. He's out on the field, which is a big step from him from a year ago. And when he's healthy, he remains one of the game's best. There's no question about it. People like to say, okay, turned 40 is not the same. I don't buy it at all. If the offensive line holds up, and it's a big if because those guys have been banged up a bunch. They have a lot of guys in there now they signed that some of those guys have been banged up over the course of their career. If they stay healthy and protect him, he's going to put up big numbers in that offense. I think the Jets will push for the Buffalo Bills into the division and do some damage in the postseason. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. And again, the voting for this award's kind of amended a little bit. They've changed it, whereas like a Joe Flacco, who won it last year, probably wouldn't be winning it this year because now they want him coming off an injury or something like what happened to DeMar Hamlin tragically happened to him. That's how they want the award to be decided now.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, the group that they trot out in Week 18 at offensive line, if it looks anything similar to the Week 1 group, Aaron Rodgers will definitely be in contention for this award because of the things that you've said. But for me, it's Joe Burrow fighting back off that wrist injury. There's only a handful of quarterbacks in the National Football League where you wake up in the hotel in whatever city that you're in, you say, we have a shot today because we've got blank. And in this situation, it's Joe Burrow. I think he comes out with his hair on fire. You can already see he's got the blonde tip's going to be coming out pretty soon. But we've all loved to watch Joe Burrow when he's healthy, when he is even senses comfort in the pocket. He has such dynamic skills. Jamar Chase, obviously a freak show. And we love to watch Joe Burrow. I hate to see it against the Chiefs and anybody else that I'm a fan of, but Joe Burrow, comeback player of the year, I just can't see it not happening.
Yeah, look, I won't argue with that one. You know how I feel about Joe Burrow. I think he's a special quarterback. It's just a matter of being on the field for him all the time. He's had those issues almost every single year.
If he does,
they got some bigs in there for him now.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they certainly do. And by the way, I'll just remind folks, he's the only active quarterback in the NFL to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and only one of 2 quarterbacks ever. Tom Brady now in the booth. So Joey B, if he wins that, means that good things are happening. If we end this with Coach of the Year, you guys have both gone from a coach in the same division, both named Matt. Pete, which Matt are you going with here?
I'm going with the one in Green Bay, Matt LaFleur. He's never won the award. He's the only coach in the history of the league to have 3 straight 13-win seasons. Think about that. The only one. He's the only guy who did it. And then what he did last year, getting Jordan Love to be what he is, I think they're going to be phenomenal this year. I think this team is on the cusp of being the best team in the NFC. I'm a big Jordan Love guy. The receiver's going to be good. The offensive line, they drafted to improve that group. They're going to be bigger, stronger. And then defensively, new defense. They needed that on that side of the ball. I think Matt LaFleur, who doesn't get the credit he deserves for being the kind of coach that he is, I think he finally wins the award this year.
We got a lot of really bright coaches, offensive minds in this league, and he's right up there at the top of the list. Does does not get the respect needed. But in my list, it's going to be Matt Eberflus and the Chicago Bears. Okay, Matt Eberflus has now kind of seen his team take a change offensively, but it's the defense that he has been a champion of and been the kind of schematic head of for the last few years. And we saw that defense carry this Bears team into the offseason with a ton of confidence, and people rode that confidence into the draft. Now we've got an offense, complementary football. Last time we had a coach with complementary football in Chicago, Matt Nagy. I was there when he received his Coach of the Year award.
By the way, it must be a prerequisite for somebody who sits in that seat to be a homer for the teams they used to play for.
Something.
Oh, Danny first down, Kyle. Is that what we have now, too?
Well, and Kyle has, I just want to say this because you sometimes get that Hard Knocks boost, right? You start to believe a little bit. He has not watched Hard Knocks.
Nope, I'm waiting to binge it. I've seen tape. I've seen the way that this defense has rallied to the football, the way they played this preseason, the pressures they're able to get externally from secondary players. Quarterbacks are afraid of not just the front seven with this group, it's the entire 11-man defense, and that's because of Matt.
How many games do they win?
Right now, they're undefeated.
No, how many will they win?
Super Bowl.
Beat Prisco.
August, hey, we got to cut that and keep that, okay?
Here on HQ, yeah, we'll keep that. Kyle's part of pushing the pile. What are you guys talking about today?
You know what? Today we went down the AFC pecking order. We talked about some of our burning questions about all the AFC teams top to bottom, so check it out tomorrow. Or Wednesday, we will be doing the NFC portion of that, so tune in.
Download and follow wherever you get your podcasts.